Hello, everyone, and welcome back after these parallel workshops that we've had. I've only been able to attend one of them, but I think they've all been really interesting. And therefore, we have now this wrap-up session where I would like to introduce all the moderators from the workshops so that we can have a short summary of what has been discussed in each one of them. So we see here Carlos Moreira. He's senior researcher at the Center for Power and Energy Systems in INEXTEC, which is one of our regional partners from the Secretariat. Welcome, Carlos. We also have here with us Lucia Rakocevic. Hope I'm pronouncing that well. She's the legal and regulatory lead of the Clean Energy for EU Island Secretariat. She also works as R&D manager at the Belgian SME Think E. Welcome, Lucia. And we have also reporting back from the project pitch session here, Simon de Klerk. He's been with us this morning as well. He's a coordinator of the Secretariat and Energy Strategy and Policy Consultant on 3E. So I'm very happy to have the three of you here. I would give I would ask Carlos if he could make a small summary of what has been discussed in the technology session for those who have been attended the other workshops to see if they can get a grasp of the main ideas that were discussed there.
Okay, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to participate in this forum where very interesting ideas have been discussed. So in the previous session, addressing technology solutions for more renewables and cleaner islands, there's been addressed some important points that I will try to briefly summarize. It seems it is clear that the electrification trends in Iceland means that a strong electrification of the economy needs to occur. And within that electrification of the economy, the production of energy from renewables is the key point. The technology providers that we see nowadays in the market are able to provide quite mature and advanced technologies that can help on that process of transition. We look to quite mature technologies like wind, solar, geothermal, hydro, where it can be explored in Iceland, and we see the door open to emerging ones with a lot of potential, like, for instance, tidal and wave energy being also widely developed. There is, however, one key point related to renewables, is the associated time variability to much of them, like wind, solar, since they depend on the weather conditions. And addressing that variability in the operation of the system where those sources are integrated is a key issue. The resulting aspects of that depend very much on the point in which we are. They depend on the amounts of renewables that we have and how far we are in that process. We can the major pathway to address that variability is through storage. However, energy storage has multiple dimensions. We can think on hour or sub-hour energy storage applications. That means systems with requirements for fast balancing processes resulting from renewables variation, or we can think on more advanced requirements in terms of energy storage, like intraday, monthly or seasonal storage requirements that demand other approaches and other technologies, especially in the cases where the volumes of renewables integrations is already very large. However, one key message is that technology providers are able to provide solutions for a huge portfolio of technologies, either in terms of the electricity vector, but also within the hydrogen electricity vector as a solution to support also the clean energy transition in Iceland. And this hydrogen vector as a supporter for this transition has been presented in very interesting initiatives, where, for example, green hydrogen production from solar plants can be used for multiple purposes, like, for instance, for the transportation sector in public transport using fuel cell motorized buses, using it for the auxiliary power systems in ferries, using it to be injected in the gas network, and therefore integrating that gas system a relevant part of a renewable gas that was produced from solar. So the key point of this transition is electrification of economy and integration of more renewables in the process, and this sector coupling among electricity, transport, heating, and cooling is very relevant. However, to get the results, what is important is to set the ambition, and here we need to have the politicians, the decision makers, to say what are the plans for the medium long term, how much renewables we want to put in the system. This will imply a very detailed plan, a very detailed exercise of planning of the system, taking into consideration multiple aspects, such as the robustness of the system, the security of supply for the customers, and of course the cost. The cost is an important path, an important aspect within this path. And to conclude, I would like to leave a final note, which is derived from this, is that after defining the planning exercise and having a roadmap for development of the generation portfolio we want to have in the system, then it comes the more technical issues that deals with the detailed physics of the problem that needs also to be taken in deep consideration. That leads us to the detailed identification of system needs that then will be transposed to specific technological requirements the technology providers need to attend when trying to provide solutions for our islands. These are the main points to get from the previous session.
Thank you so much, Carlos, for this very detailed summary. I would like to give the floor now to Lucia, reporting back from the regulatory barriers workshop.
Thank you, Marina. I would like to thank everybody that participated in the regulatory workshop and apologize that we got interrupted at the end in the last closing remark of Tig O'Brien from DG Ener. But I want to just quickly summarize, let's say, some of the discussion that we had that sort of started with this spatial planning, let's say, barriers that we see with the regulation. And there we discussed a bit what are some of the possible solutions, bringing together stakeholders for the discussion and also planning together through these clean energy transition plans, but also showing the local municipalities, the local islanders, what are some of the benefits of these clean energy projects. We went into sort of a polling to see what are some of the barriers that everybody in the panel thought are the most important regulatory barriers that we're facing, and two of them have, one is the main one is, let's say, lack of good communication between the governments on the different levels, and also complexity of administrative procedures, which is something that definitely for the clean energy projects needs to be tackled if this is a policy priority. And then some of the solutions that we discussed, which I think is not surprising because we've also seen this in the first state discussion, is forming islanders and local community and local actors into energy communities or some sort of collective energy actions, and pushing this way, let's say, the clean energy agenda. However, as been brought up by the colleague also from Portugal, this is not so easy to get people engaged. So finding also regulatory ways to get people engaged into these local initiatives and collective actions is also very important. But the last one that I also mentioned, and that's sharing best practices, and sharing best practices not just by showing the final result, but showing the whole process. Some of the good things that have happened and how, and also some of the bad things that have happened and why, so that people can learn from other people's maybe missed opportunities or mistakes, so that doesn't happen to them. But also in that respect, these best practices, whenever they're shared, it's very important to share also the context. What is the regional, what is the local, what is the national context that we're talking about, so that other islands also know how to, what applies to them, what doesn't apply to them, because there isn't really one solution also, especially regulatory, that fits all.
Great. Thank you so much, Lucia. It feels like such an interesting session, and it was such nice takeaways. And finally, Simon, reporting back from the project pitch session. The floor is yours.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Marina. We had quite a dynamic session. So we had 5 projects, and most of these were quite innovative in terms of technology, but also in terms of organization and business model and so forth. We had them present in front of our audience, and we also at the same time had an expert board where we had 3 experts that evaluated the presentations. So the 3 experts were Catalina from University College London, a professor, and she was looking particularly at how different technologies could be combined to really make a big impact on energy systems on islands, but also looking how these technologies could be tailored to the high diversity of islands that there are in Europe, while at the same time putting the people at the core of this energy transition. Then we had Antonia from our partner Rescoop, who was looking also for this combination of technologies, and also to see how people could be driving energy transition on the islands, but furthermore focusing on how energy action could happen now, and which business models could enable different technologies to be implemented. And then we had finally Georges from a consortium, looking more at the financing and on the exact implementation of these projects, seeing how these things could be brought forward on the ground. And then we had 5 presentations. The first one was about a wave energy project in La Réunion. Here we discussed different aspects. Basically, the setup is based around a cluster of companies in which you have a technology provider that's working with a wide range of stakeholders on the island in order to put this project there. They're looking for quite a high impact. If I remember correctly, around 25% of the local energy could be produced using this technology. And then we had further discussions on how this could be financed, where one of the key assets of the technology was the predictability of the generation compared to other renewable energy sources. Then we had a presentation on a battery storage technology. Basically, what happened is that that AquaBattery, it's a company. They took the idea of the neighborhood battery, or one of their pilots, and then brought it to an island context in Pantelleria, where they looked not only at the ability to store energy, but also at how this could be coupled with desalination of water. The third presentation we had was on an airborne wind power, which is basically the kites that fly and this way generate electricity. So here we had a case study from Schiermonnikoog, which is a Dutch island, where we had kite power present. We discussed the benefits, mainly in terms of the use of the land, and also how it's even better than regular wind technologies. And then we had a very interesting intervention from the municipality, saying how this could be funded from a cooperative point of view. Then fourth presentation, we went all the way to Porto Santo, close to Madeira, where we discussed the waste to hydrogen production unit. Here, this has a high potential to reduce the waste of the island. Of course, there were several topics that require closer investigation, such as the investment cost, but also to what extent that the produced hydrogen could be considered green. And finally, we discussed geothermal energy on the Azores. So we also saw, and we were mainly looking at the high impact that this technology already has, and also looking at the potential it has to be upscaled in the future. And here, one of the key takeaways from Philippe's intervention was on the fact that we need to move from public acceptance towards co-creation, and then really to territorial integration of these renewable energies. So I think just this brief overview shows the high diversity of the presentations that we had. We had a very dynamic session, and in fact, it was very difficult to stick to the time limit. And for many presentations, we had wished for a lot more time to go into more detail on what exactly these projects would mean, and how could they really make a big impact on the specific island. At the end, we had two votes. One was a public vote in which the audience voted that the first project, the wave energy project on Saint-Phillipe in La Réunion, was the public's favorite. So here, congratulations to Fanny from Engine on your intervention. Then we also had the experts who voted on their favorite presentation. And here we had the AquaBattery project in Pantelleria, that was voted as the best. So congratulations. And I would like to thank all of the presenters, and also the expert boards, and the people that participated in the final voting for your participation. And I hope we can do a similar session. I mean, that we can follow up on your projects and have a similar session in the next forum. So I think I'll keep it to that. Marina, back to you.
Thank you very much, Simon. It feels that we had a very dynamic afternoon with many diverse topics being talked about. On the one hand, the technology providers dealing with the need with electrification, and therefore the need for storage. On the regulatory side, looking at the needs for good communication in between different levels of governance, and the need also to lower the complexity of administrative procedures. And finally, having a very dynamic project pitch session, which allowed us to have a sneak peek of innovative projects on islands. With this, we get to the end of the second day of the Clean Energy for EU Islands Forum. It's been a pleasure to be here. I would like to give a really big thank you to all the attendees that have been following us these 2 days. Really, it's really the public who gives value to this event. So thank you for being here with us. I would also like to give a very warm thank you to all the speakers that have taken taken part of this event. I think over the 2 days we've had around 50 speakers, which is a great number. But yeah, it makes us feel very proud to see that we can come bring together all these experts on different topics. So thank you all for taking the time and participating in the event. And as you can imagine, to organize an event like this with all these amount of speakers is not easy. So also a very warm thank you to all the team who is behind the scenes making this happen, really. From the broadcast to social media to all the organizers, to those who got the program together, thank you very much. Just a few details on the organizational part before we finally wrap up. There will be a feedback email in a few days that you will get. We would love to get your views in order to be able to improve in future events that we organize as part of the Clean Energy for EU Island Secretariat. You will have the recordings uploaded to our website shortly, and we will let you know as soon as they are available. And finally, please stay connected. Join our newsletter. Follow us, please, on Facebook and LinkedIn in order to keep up to date, and so that you can follow us with all the new activities that we have planned for the following 2 years. Thank you once again, and we keep in touch and see you all soon.